Good afternoon. Thank you for this invitation. Thank you to Mao, Molona, and to the present. I think it's a good point to start thinking about the connecting point within economics and institution at this phase, and in particular between the distinction between legal and illegal, because this is really where a lot of what we're talking about boils down. Many of the experiences that have been terminated through an imposition of power and authority were terminated and were being deemed illegal. And when something is deemed illegal, it becomes very difficult to defend. And this has been a thought that I've been working on quite a bit in this sort of mobile narrative, and recently I was in the Civil Rights Museum in Memphis, Tennessee, which is the story of the emancipation of the blacks in the United States. Most of this story happened within a Western liberal constitutional system, so I will not talk about Nazi law or anything like that. I'm talking about the law of the United States of America, and there was no one of those actions that made the black community becoming emancipated, at least formally equal to the others, that was legal. Rosa Parks refusing her seat was committing an illegal action. The Freedom Riders driving with the buses from the north to the south and in groups that were blacks and whites sitting in the segregated areas were committing trespass to land, which was a typically illegal act. And those that were occupying the bars and the restaurants where they were serving only whites were also themselves doing illegal acts. So through that illegality, something very important came out, which was emancipation. And that illegality was and has to be considered a form of resistance, and resistance produces a new form and a new kind of legality. All of these struggles that we've been discussing this morning and the examples and here and there do share a vision. We already have a variety of common experiences, of common attitudes, of horizontal practices of a variety of kind. And all of these experiences are at odds with the current construction of law as a regime of knowledge. Okay? Today, law organizes society in a vertical way. It organizes it around two polar opposites that are ideological oppositions, which are the state and private property. There is no space in between for anything. And so in following this construction of legality, what is deemed legal and illegal today, which is very pervasive, is very difficult to get people on your side if you are perceived as doing something illegal. You know, I'm occupying a place, why are you violating the law? Why are you not respecting private property? You are a self-serving violator of the legal order. So all of this makes very, very difficult to exercise hegemony in society. And the work that I've been doing and that I just published in this book, written with ecologist Fritjof Capra, talks about towards a legal system in tune with nature and community. Seems to me that the current legal system is not in tune with nature and community. It's actually in tune with capital and with individualism, but is not in tune with nature and community. And the structure of the law, as we use today, is a positivistic structure that is not natural in any sense, but is the product of an historical evolution. We need to change that. But in order to change that, we need to be very clear where we want to go and why we want to change that. It's not because we are activists and we all think the same things that we can persuade the world that we are on the right side. That will not happen. We need to get something that is a little bit more stringent. And I submit to you that one of the very disturbing aspects is that of the so-called ecological footprint. You know that humanity today, and here today, We are all consuming more than our fair share. Even precarious workers, even many of the impoverished people in the banlieue of our cities are still participating in a model of extraction that is way overwhelmingly unsustainable, and is made a little bit more sustainable by the fact that there is some real precarity in other parts of the world, where people are precarious in the sense that they don't know 3 hours from now whether they are going to have the next meal, okay? So the human impact on Earth today is 1.4, which means that we need almost 1.5 Earths to reproduce the kind of resources that we extract and we consume. That means that someday in August, we start living off the future generations. That's the only kind of debt that cannot be repaid, okay? And that actually cannot be restructured in any way. And the reason why it's 1.4 is just because many people in the world live on 0.1, okay? Because the United States of America have an ecological impact of 6. Western Europe has an ecological impact of more than 5, okay? So we're talking about if this model of development had to be shared by everybody, we needed 5 planets, which means that the laws of ecology would be violated. They are already violated today, the laws of general ecological equilibrium, but they would be violated in such a way that we would finally see the end of the system in a foreseeable way. So it is very cynical to say to other parts of the world, you guys are gonna one day become like us in California or in Western Europe. It's just not possible. So there is a need of destitution, a need of devolution, a need of giving back something in order to create a legal system that works for everybody. And to do that, we need first of all to understand there is no such a thing as a legal system as a sort of out there scheme against which you can measure activities, whether something is legal or whether something illegal, but the legal system is us, is the way in which we behave as Rosa Parks or we don't behave as Rosa Parks. There is a legal system only when enough people are willing to obey to it. And if a legal system is carrying us in a direction that is the tragedy for everybody, there has long been in history a duty of resistance that was then translated into a right of resistance by liberal narrative in the constitutional making of current modernity, but that was actually a collective duty to everybody who had some power to object against a ruler or a system of rules that goes in the wrong direction. So in this book, in the Ecology of Law, what we do is we reconstruct how we got here and where we started from. And we started from a world, in little more than 300 years, we started for a world that had tremendous amount of commons. Ecological commons and social commons, tremendous amount of community, and we needed to transform some of that commons and some of that community into capital, okay? And we were very successful at doing that. We created the law, the legal system of capitalist countries, the backbone of the extractive economy, in order to transform commons into capital. And we did it for a reason. We needed some capital in order to go somewhere. The pre-modern societies were societies of deprivation, were not society in which there was enough things to eat, enough things to clothe, enough medicine and things like that, so there was a need of that. But today, we are at the polar opposite for where we started. Today, the world is overabundant of capital. There is a tremendous amount of capital out there, and it's extremely scarce in commons, both in ecological and in social commons, because individualization has been rampant. And yet, we are still having and functioning with the very same legal system that had the opposite purpose. We have a legal system that still works in transformation commons into capital rather than turning the other way around. But what we need now is a radical turning point, changing the legal system in such a way that capital can be translated into commons again. And to do that, we need to take over the law, but not in the sense of occupying the law as it is today. It is a different kind of takeover. When Malcolm X used to say, we are not going to occupy the white people's business. We need to create our own business. What I claim in the book with Capra is that we are not going to occupy the capitalist legal system. We need to create a legal system that is the polar opposite of the legal system we have now, and we have to build it by understanding that the law is us. So that one day, very shortly, if everybody works in that direction, what today is legal will be deemed illegal, and what today is illegal will be considered legal, and therefore will be the organization of the new economy. Thank you.